Hello, everyone. Hi, how are you today? Thank you for joining me in this special edition of the Language Show online. I'm very excited about talking to you today online from my living room here in London. It's 12:01 and it's a lovely sunny day now because this morning it was cloudy and rainy and gray, and it's a special day for us as a family because at this very moment my sister-in-law is about to have her baby, so we are also very excited, waiting for good news from Argentina. Where are you joining me from? Let's see. Oh, from India. I see who is here. Valentina. Hi, Valentina. Hi from France, Spain. Wow. Hello, good afternoon, Belgium, Germany, Southeast England, Russia, China. Wow. Thank you for being here. I'm so very happy to be talking about the top tips to thrive as a freelancer. And let's see what are the main objectives of this webinar today. Today, I would like you to leave this session with more clarity about how to work as a freelancer and about your priorities in life and your priorities in work. I would like you also to establish a valuable connection with someone from this session. And I would like to help you develop a business mindset, because as freelancers, we have to deal with many aspects of entrepreneurship, and we have to work as business owners. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jaquelina Guardamagna, and I am the person behind Translator in London. I have been working as a freelance translator since for 13 years now, and I'm from Argentina. I am very much involved in the Chartered Institute of Linguists. I am a chartered translator. I am a member of council, and I am the chair of the Linguist journal. Have you read the Linguist? Anyone? If you haven't, I would really encourage you to visit the CIOL website and download your copy, because it's a very good magazine for everyone who loves languages. Today, I'm planning an interactive session. I see that there are lots of comments coming in the chat box, and I will try to keep this interaction because I think that that will make the session much more fun and much more dynamic. So really engage, write down your comments, and if you don't want to make your comments public, then you can also reflect on the different exercises that I have set up and write down your notes in a piece of paper or on your computer. Okay. This year I was elected as an I also Female Entrepreneur 100 because of the many hats I wear. And this is not something that is exclusive to me, but to all freelancers. I think that we are all very busy bees. We are all very much doing lots of tasks in our daily lives. And sometimes because of that, because we have to take care of our marketing or our accountancy, or we have to do some posts on social media, do the translations, interpreting, subtitling, all types of tasks, we sometimes lose sight of what really matters and what are our priorities. For that reason, I think that one way of setting priorities in our daily about our daily tasks is to distinguish what is urgent from what is important. And to do that, we will go through an exercise based on the Eisenhower matrix. Did you come across this chart before? Well, this is a way of distinguishing what it really matters and what is important for you to complete in your everyday activities and what is not that important. So through this matrix, you can start categorizing activities, and you can consider what is actually urgent, what is important, or what is not that important. Let me show you now a list of tasks from my to-do list. I would like you now to include in the chat, what do you think, for example, number one is that a post on Instagram is an urgent and important task for you? Is it important but not urgent? Or the other way around, is it not urgent and not important? We will all have different opinions and different priorities, so there is no right or wrong answer related to this. So if you'd like to, for example, here I can read some of your comments. The Instagram post depends on your marketing strategy, completely agree. It could be not urgent or not too important, but it depends. Of course, yes, it depends very much on your priorities. Exactly. What do you think from this list is the most important task for you? What would you categorize as really important? Number two. Most of you say number two. Very good. And what would you categorize as urgent? Urgent, 4, 5, 3. Okay, good, excellent. So we all have different priorities and different ways of categorizing our tasks. But the point of this exercise is to let you know that because we have lots of to-do lists, we need to focus on what really matters. Because if we focus on what really matters, we get more clarity about what is our purpose, what is our intention, and what do we really want to achieve as professionals. And that is point number one of this presentation. There is generally a time in the year when I have to reassess my current situation, when I feel that I am doing tasks, daily tasks, and I'm not really focusing on how to progress my business further. And for that reason, I have to stop, I have to pause and reflect and take this a little bit of time to think about these two questions. So I would like to encourage you to think about those two questions. 4 questions, actually. First, what do you want for yourself and why do you want that? And then, what do you want for those you serve and why? And I tell you why I started my business as a freelance translator. I had a very important reason why I started my business. What I wanted was time to manage my time flexibly in order to spend my daughter during her early years. I started Translator in London after my daughter was born, and I thought that her time as a child will never come back, and I wanted to be at school when she needed me. I wanted to spend that quality time during the first years of her childhood. And I thought, well, I will start freelancing, and I will also take that degree certificate from the cupboard and start using all the skills that I learned when I was at university to serve others and to help people that speak different languages, to connect, to establish relationships, to help them grow their businesses or achieve their aims, and mainly really serve as the bridge, as we translators generally, that's the main purpose for us. So I have very strong reasons and motives that encouraged me to start freelancing. Now, what do you think? What did you want for yourself when you started freelancing? And what do you want now for yourself? And why do you want that? These are questions that probably you will have to take the time to reflect on later on. But I think that right now you are contributing with your comments here, which is very, very good. I see Sylvie says she wants excellent working conditions for myself to be able to deliver top quality. And for the second question, satisfaction from seamless communication. I want to freelance for exactly the same reason. I'm sorry, cannot keep track of all the comments because there are so many, so 396 people now here. So, but I think that this type of exercise will help you achieve clarity about what you want in your freelance journey. And once you start asking those questions, you are in a better position to define your SMART goals. And what is a SMART goal? A SMART goal is a goal that is specific, that is measurable, is achievable, and realistic and time-bound. If you tell me that your goal, your SMART goal is to increase your earnings, then that's not specific enough. You have to think of how you're going to do that, when would you like to achieve that goal, how much more money would you like to make, and what clients would you like to work with? What is your ideal client? So I give you an example of a SMART goal here. And this is mainly addressing the topic of finding your ideal client. If you are a translator, you will probably you feel more related, more connected with this type of goal. So for me, this goal is before Christmas. I like to translate the website of a London manufacturer of electric bikes who exports to Latin America. And I also give a reason that would move me or encourage me and motivate me to achieve that goal. And that is because I can help them to communicate effectively with their distributors and contribute to their business growth. And because I also adhere to the environmentally friendly values and procedures. I think of my own values, I think of my own interests, and I see how I can help a client with whom I share those values to achieve their final goals. So right now, the exercise on SMART goals that we will do in just a second is for you to mainly concentrate on, excuse me, who is your ideal client? And you have to be specific about your ideal client. Think about a person. Think about the age of the person. Think about the location, the type of business in which they work, and then define when would you like to achieve your goal and what type of work would you like to do with that particular client. So this is the next exercise. I'd like to encourage you to describe your ideal client in 5 words. Let's see if you have any ideas, if you would like to comment in the chat box. 5 words to describe your ideal client. Any ideas? Or you may be busy writing them down. Ethical, wealthy, reliable, regular, good communicator, prompt payment, seamless communication, pays well, flexible, steady, regular, friendly. Yes, those are mainly traits, but can you think of, as I said before, a person of a particular profession or in a job position that you'd like to work with, that you consider that would give you interesting work that you really enjoy? I'm not here talking about personal attributes like serious or reliable, but mainly like here, marketing managers in the luxury sector. For example, that would be an ideal client. You have to have a very specific image of the person that you'd like to approach or that you'd like to work with. Video game developers, medical professionals, an advertising company. Okay, excellent. Now you're getting a better, be more specific right now. I see in the goals that you're writing down at the moment. Think about the location, think about the age of the ideal client. Is it British engineering company that produces a particular car? Or is it a German human resources manager? So try to narrow down the categories, think about location, about profession, and about age, and you will get there. You will visualize the client that you'd like to work with. Now, once you do that, you have to list 2 ways in which you can help that client. How can you help that client? Are you offering translation services? You specialize in translations of technical equipment? Do you specialize in translation of medical prescriptions? Do you specialize in subtitling for documentaries? Or do you do subtitles for films of adventure? Think specifically about the skills and the knowledge that you have that you can bring to the table and the value that you will offer to that ideal client that you first listed here. Now, once you think of those 2 ways in which you can help your ideal client, you have to give 2 reasons why they should work with you. What is special about you? What is your unique selling proposition? What makes you different from other translators, from other freelancers? So get to know yourself and analyze what are the skills and what is the story that's behind you that would really make you more attractive and appealing to your ideal client. Now we are moving to the following step, because if you have a SMART goal, if you have a very clear idea about what you want to achieve, now you can start planning and thinking on how you're going to achieve that goal. And for doing that, I would advise you to follow the KISS principle, keeping it simple. That means breaking down your goal in very small achievable steps that will give you a sense of satisfaction because you can perform and you can see the results more quickly. And for this exercise, this is a very simple activity that you can do to get closer to that ideal client. Because how are you going to connect or where with the client, and how do you know where that client is? The first thing that you can do is to type 3 words on a search engine to find that client. 3 words that would describe that client. What are the 3 words that you will use to search for that client in a search engine? Then think of 2 social media channels that you will use to network with your client. And finally, write 1 sentence that describes your value and your uniqueness, and that you can use probably to introduce yourself when you start your contact with the client. Everyone has a unique selling point. It's either your background story is different from other people. You might have had a job that has allowed you to learn particular skills that no one else has learned. You may have a personal trait that other people have not developed fully. So think about what you think is your strength, what do you think other people think is your strength, and then on the basis of that, you will find your unique selling proposition. What can you offer to that client? Okay. Now, once you follow this exercise, this is like the plan that will help you get closer to the client that you want. You have the plan, you have the goal. That means that if you have the destination and the map, it's going to be easier to take action. And take the first few steps towards that goal. What are the steps that you can take to contact your client? It could be an email with a link to your website, or you can make a phone call, or you can attend an event and meet your client there and start socializing there and establish a connection in the particular event, or even online. So those are some of the actions that you can take, but you have to remember that action will always change things. And if you take action, you start moving forward, you start achieving things, you feel more productive, you feel that you can do more. So action actually should motivate you to do more. And it's important that we don't just have the plan and the goal, but that you also take action. Now, if you take action and if you get closer to your target clients, you can start the connections and you can start socializing and improving, also growing your network. And if you grow your network, you establish more social relationships, and those relationships will help you also grow your business. You need friends, family, colleagues, and clients are the actors that will keep your business alive. So those relationships have to be based on the principles of respect, empathy, and trust. And when I say respect, it does mean mainly that you respect the person. You don't need to agree on ideas. You may have very different ideas from the person that is sitting next to you, but that doesn't mean that you will lack respect to that person. The ideas are one thing, and respect is a personal value that we should encourage and foster in social relationships. And now I will tell you about empathy. How can we establish a better connection with the client? First of all, we need to speak their language. If we are linguists, and if my client is a German-based company and they speak German, but they want to translate their content into English, even though if English is my mother tongue, then I will approach my client using German, because the connection will be stronger if I use their language. So that's the first point, the first tip that I would give you. If you want to market to a particular client, consider first, where is the client based and what language do they speak? Then place yourself in the shoes of a client or a customer. Empathize with that client. Let's imagine that you want to buy a book. Are you going to buy the book just because of the name of the book? Or are you going to find out about the author, any reviews? Or are you going to read a brief about what the book is about? Generally, we humans like to take informed decisions. So if we provide information as language service providers, then there are more possibilities of encouraging relationships of trust. Another tip to foster those relationships is to base your communication on the principles of being honest, open, and transparent. Hot communication is about honesty, open talks, and transparency. And why is transparency so important? It shows your authenticity. If you don't know something about a particular job, you can delegate it to another person, but you inform the client that about the things that you know, about the things that you don't feel comfortable with. So that's also a way of promoting trust. And once you establish your relationship with your client, you have to exceed expectations. It's very simple acts of kindness that can really make you go above and beyond your business. For example, well, if you just deliver a translation before the deadline, then that's one way of exceeding expectations. If you offer a special discount after working for a whole year with the particular client, then that's also a nice surprise, and that's a way of exceeding expectations. So just think about how you can go an extra mile in that relationship with your client to make that person really appreciate the business that they are doing with you. And these days, when we are talking so much about social distancing and lockdown, you may ask, okay, how I'm going to connect with those clients, how I am going to establish that relationship. There are not so many possibilities as there used to be. Well, I would like to do an exercise now to encourage connections. So what I'd like you to do, sorry, let me just, is to share here in the chat box your LinkedIn profile. I see lots of LinkedIn profiles already here. Good, excellent, fabulous. And then you connect on LinkedIn with as many people as you like. You can mention that you are in this webinar, in Jackie's webinar, I'd like you to connect. But specifically, I would like you to focus and concentrate on one person that you don't know, you haven't been in contact with before. So try to establish a conversation with that person after the webinar. Not now, just stay here because we have some more exercises to do. But after the webinar, you establish a conversation with the person. You talk about what you liked or what you didn't like about this webinar. And then I'd like you to set up a Zoom call before December to discuss those goals and action plan that you established at the beginning of the webinar. So do you think you will be able to do that? Yes, yes. Excellent. I see lots of LinkedIn profiles. Good, excellent, excellent. I think that this is the new way of creating connections, and I think that I'm very, very positive about this exercise, and I hope that this gives you a valuable contact after this session. So remember, share your LinkedIn profile, connect. You can mention that you've been here in Jackie's webinar or in the language show, and then remember, please, to set up that call and be determined to do that with at least one person. If you want, you can set up a group, but at least one person to discuss your goals and your action plan. Because the moment you start talking about your goals and your action plan, that's when they become clearer as well. And then you can get ideas from other people that could say, okay, this is what I will do, and you get a different perspective on your own intentions and purpose. So in this age where social connections are difficult to be made, then we have to foster these types of interactions, not only because of our business, but because of our mental health. And I think that this is a good way of keeping us motivated and achieving more. Now let's look at your business and trying to develop a business mindset. There are two main aspects that we need to consider if we want a business mindset. We need to master our numbers, and we need to build self-management skills. I'm still in the process of mastering my numbers. I'm a linguist, and I really, every day I'm learning something new. But here are my main tips for mastering your numbers effectively, because we all want to make a living from this profession. It's not a hobby, it's actually something that we love, but we have our bills to pay, don't we? In terms of numbers, we have to make decisions. We have to make decisions based on our personal circumstances, based on the markets in which we operate, based on our preferences. So we make decisions all the time. For example, in terms of rates, do you charge per word, per project, per time? For subtitling, do you charge per character or per time, or how do you set up your rates? There are different standards in our sector, but nowadays you have to think about your own priorities, and you have to think about how the rates that you establish, because you are free in that sense, we can apply these words. You're free to choose whatever is more convenient for you, of course, and to serve your clients as well. You have to determine what are your working hours, If I ask you right now, what's your average output? How many words can you translate per day? How many words can you translate in 1 hour? If I ask you right now, how much money do you have in your bank account, and how much of that money is going to be used to pay your expenses? Do you know that on top of your head? Do you have records? This takes me to the following kind of advice regarding numbers. We need to keep records, and this keeping records and measuring what are our expenses and what is our income is a good way of analyzing our situation and understanding where we can make improvements. If you work on a particular project that gave you a good income, then double that. Try to focus on that specific project and don't be distracted by any other types of projects. So double whatever you enjoy the most, yes, and the projects that gave you a good profit. And have a budget planner. In the budget planner, this is a very simple one. Of course, if you are established in the profession, you might have a different system, and you may be working with a specific accounting software. But this budget planner gives you an idea of your overheads, just in a very simple way. You know how much you will spend per month and how often you will have those expenses. And I include categories of the most common overheads that I have in my business. So here I will give you some tools on how to master your numbers. First, as I said, it's important to keep records. A very good way of keeping track of your business numbers is by setting up a business account straight away when you start freelancing, so that you have a separate account from your personal income and expenses. There are online banks like Tide and Starling that offer very easy setups. So if you're looking for something quick and convenient, at the moment I'm using Tide and I'm very pleased with them. And then you can also start using software or spreadsheets to keep records of your numbers. Here I mentioned some of them, but if you have any other tools that you'd like to recommend to your colleagues here, you can type the names in the chat box, and then that will be a good way of sharing what is useful for you. And then this is website that I follow with excellent advice on how to manage your money effectively here in the United Kingdom by Martin Lewis. You may know him, but there are lots of interesting tools there as well, moneysavingexpert.com. And there is a budget planner in the website of Martin Lewis. And if you want, I can share the link with you in my social media later on. Okay, and the other important aspect of freelancing is that we are our own boss. Yes, we are the managers and we have to learn self-management. And this is generally what a day in the life of a freelancer looks like. We have our inner voice of a boss that tells us, oh, you're doing great. And then suddenly you start thinking, oh, I am going bankrupt. And this is normal. We are human. And of course, it's not always positive thinking all the time. But as long as this line tends to go up, then you're on the right track. There are three main aspects that we need to consider for self-management, and those are discipline, kaizen. If there are any Japanese translators here, you will know what I mean, and then self-care. So let's look at discipline. For me, discipline has been the main attribute or the main thing that has helped me get to this stage. I am a very determined person, and I really try to establish an emotional connection between my work and my goal and my ultimate purpose and my goals. So because of that emotional connection, because I feel motivated to achieve something, as I said before, one of the reasons for starting my business, because I wanted to have quality time with my daughter. Because of that, I know that I have to keep moving, to sacrifice certain things, but to do the work, to act, right? Keep, as Nike says, just do it, yes? Keep active, because if you keep active, you are going to get one step closer to your intention and to your dream and to your purpose. Also, for being disciplined, it's very important to establish time blocks. Even if you are a freelancer and you were working from home, you might get that call at a specific time and they say, okay, why don't you come to lunch or have a drink right now? But if you have established that at that particular time, you will be working on your website, or you will be issuing a new article for your blog, or finishing a translation, then you can respect that time and you will be more organized during the day about the tasks that you need to achieve. So discipline is essential for freelancing. You don't have a boss that tells you when to start work and when to finish, but you have to decide it. Kaizen is a Japanese concept that means continuous improvement. And because we are the business, we need to adapt and we need to grow and learn new things all the time. We are part of a world that is completely evolving and that demands much more of us. So initially for Kaizen, we have to assess where we are. What are the skills that we have? We have to ask for feedback to see what are the areas in which we can improve. And then we'll have to probably take courses, do webinars, training, and be prepared and flexible enough to adapt to changes and to learn from the challenges that are presented. So the idea of Kaizen is that we need to be a better person than the person that we were yesterday. It's not competition with others, it's with ourselves, getting better, progressing. And that is the idea of thriving, really. And finally, for self-management, we need also self-care. Because we are the engines of our business, we need to take care of ourselves to get the energy that we need to serve others. And as they say on the airplane, before they take off, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. And how do you do that? By exercising, by sleeping, going out and being in contact with nature, and saying no to those distractions that demand your time. I'm sorry, this time is running out today, unfortunately, but here is the last exercise for you to do. And I hope we don't get, the webinar is about to finish, but my final thought on this is comes from this quote from Saint Francis, who says that you need to start by doing what's necessary and then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. Please share your questions, your comments with me on social media, and you will have access to a recording of this session after the webinar is over, and I will send you the slides if you want for the last exercise. But it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I am really honored to have had your time, and I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you very much. Thank you. Gracias.